Today's episode of Beyond the Mask is presented by the insurance specialists at Bright Think Wealth Strategies. Find the disability insurance coverage that fits you best right now. Email Robert Smith at rsmithjr@financialguide.com. The show is also made possible by the team at CRNA Financial Planning. Get a free consultation today to be guided through the complexities of investing and financial planning. Just visit crnafinancialplanning.com. We'd also like to thank Helping Hands and OSA EMR for their support of the show. And don't forget, listening to our podcast can earn you Class B credits. For more information on how you can submit them, check out the CE Credit tab on our website, beyondthemaskpodcast.com. Welcome to Beyond the Mask, Innovation and Opportunities for CRNAs, with Jeremy Stanley and Sharon Pierce. We know you spend your day caring for your patient's best interests. On our show, we want to care for you. Join us as we leave the operating room and learn the latest in the CRNA industry. Beyond the Mask starts in 10, 9, 8, 7.
Welcome to Beyond the Mask. I'm Jeremy Stanley, and I've been working with CRNAs for over 23 years, and I'm married to one. And my co-host is
Sharon Pierce.
Sharon's a practicing CRNA for over 20 years, a past president of the ANA, the NCANA, and she's held many other leadership roles. As usual, our goal with every episode is to educate and enlighten CRNAs, and I think our topic today is definitely going to do that. And Sharon, what time is it?
It's time to wake up, Jeremy.
I think it is. Well, hello, Sharon and listeners, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are you doing? You sound a little snotty this morning.
Yeah. You know, little kids will do that to you. They bring home stuff, and you just sort of consume their stuff.
Well, you say on your side of the table. I don't want your stuff.
I really don't think it's contagious. It just seems to be a little upper respiratory thing.
Yeah. People said that about COVID, too.
Hey, 90% down on cases. We're moving in the right direction.
I know.
This
so
is
glad.
good. This is good. Yeah. Get to go to meetings again, see people in person,
Hug them.
I think you can hug. I don't know if we can hug. I don't know what the proper etiquette's going to be moving forward.
I don't know either. I mean, I will tell you, when people come at me with an outstretched hand, I do think about it now.
Do you?
Yeah, I know. I feel really weird because, I've always been a big handshaker anyway.
Yeah.
I think you can tell a lot about people by their handshake.
Yeah, me too. Well, it's funny. I don't lead with it anymore because you never know how people are going to. So I just kind of make a funny of it. I'm like, I don't know whether to hug you, shake you, fist bump, whatever we're supposed to do anymore. But if you want to shake hands, here you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I put it out there still, but I'm a big handshaker. I think you shake a hand, look somebody in the eye, and it means something.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me.
Yeah, I agree.
So we have a great show lined up today.
We do. I'm interested in this,
and
I know you will be too.
Absolutely. This is something near and dear to my heart, and I wish I could have more time to do more of this topic.
Me too.
But unfortunately, we all have time constraints. So with us this morning, we have Donnell Carter. Welcome, Donnell, to the show.
Good morning, Jeff and Sharon. How are you?
I'm doing great. Excited here on a Saturday morning in the studio to be here with you and hopefully learn some stuff today.
Well, it's a pleasure being here, and thank you for having me.
So, Donnell, now you have been a CRNA for just a little while, and there's some other things about you that make you even more special than that, and I want to learn a little bit more about you. So if you'd tell our listeners this morning about you and maybe introduce your topic that's kind of near and dear to your heart.
Absolutely. So, yes, I've been in healthcare for about a little over 30 years now, and a nurse for about 24 years, and currently practice as a nurse anesthetist for about 14 years. So, I have a long history in healthcare, which kind of led me to one of my personal passions, which is health and wellness. It is a very important topic to me personally. And also, because I've been in healthcare for about 30 years, it made me really focus in on it because, what I noticed over that period of time is that we as a country, as a community, as a global community, we suffer from a lot of preventable diseases that require that could be solved with simple behavior adaptations and a little bit more education and a little bit of flexibility and so forth. So yeah, that's where I am now.
I see here that you served in the United States Navy as a hospital corpsman. Number one, thank you for your service. Do you want to tell us
Thank
a
you so
little
much.
bit about that?
So yeah, I went in and enlisted right after high school. Kind of went in because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in life, and I knew I didn't want to be that guy that went to school and messed around and got drunk and flunked out, or chose a subject where it was non-applicable to success in my life. So I was mature enough at that age to figure that out and say to myself also, well, I just don't want to kind of hang around. Why not get out there and sort of see the world a little bit? And so I decided to join the Navy. And as I joined the Navy, I was supposed to go in the Navy as an air traffic controller, believe it or not.
Oh my gosh, what a stressful job.
Well, Sharon, what we do is very stressful too. So it's pretty much aligned with what we kind of do as nurse anesthetists in this world, because you always have we have people's lives at hand. So the same air traffic controllers as well as pilots. But unfortunate turn of events caused me to go a different route in the Navy. So I ended up reclassifying into hospital corpsman school, and that's where the beginning of my healthcare experience began. So I did about 4.5 years in the Navy, which I enjoyed thoroughly. It gave me everything that I needed to be successful in life, and also gave me direction. And so from that point on, when I got out, I decided to become a nurse.
Well, and then Donnell, something happened in your life in 2011 that kind of led you
Yes.
down a different path. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit more about that as well?
So yeah, the one thing about the military is that you're always active and you have to stay in shape, and you're tested in terms of your physical capabilities. And if you're unable to perform, benchmark exercises, you are kicked out.
Right.
And so, it's always sort of been a part of me from that point on. So I kind of taken it seriously. When I got out of the military, I continued down the road of exercise, but I just sort of did it more as a maintenance thing, and it's because I enjoyed it. So 2011 came around. We'll fast forward all the way up, and that particular year was a very stressful year for me. More stressful than any other year of my life. And I had a grandmother that was diagnosed with lung cancer, terminal lung cancer. I was in a bad relationship. I had some financial issues dealing with a couple of tenants, because I owned a property. I still own the property, but I owned a property back then. I was evicting a couple of people. So I was extremely stressed out. So this started in the beginning of January. By September, everything came to an ugly head. My grandmother had passed on. Me and the girlfriend broke up, and I had gotten past the financial issues, but I had hit rock bottom. And I was sitting there, and this was the day of my grandmother's funeral, and I just felt like I was in a fog. It was just a weird feeling for me, and I've never been in that pit before. It was a profound area of sadness for me, probably borderline depression. And so that day I went home, and I was living in an apartment building, and I had a jacuzzi outside, and I went and I sat in the jacuzzi, and I grabbed a bottle of wine, and I played some music, and I looked up in the sky, and it just started to rain, and I just started to cry. And I'm like, wow, this is a really weird feeling. I really need to snap out of this. And so I'm more of a naturalist. I'm somebody who would like to avoid the medical route and so forth. So I said, well, let me get up and go for a run. And I did that. And it was very therapeutic for me, and I didn't realize how much it was, but it really was. So then a friend of mine had told me about CrossFit at the time, and I had passed a CrossFit gym. And I said, let me go in here in this CrossFit gym and try it out. And so I made an appointment to go in. The guy says, oh yeah, come in tomorrow morning. I'll give you a quick 10-minute workout, and you can tell me if you like it, yes or no. And if you like it, sign on up. And I said, okay, fine. So I go in and I do this CrossFit workout, And the way it hit me was something amazing. And I'm like, whoa, like, it was just like it snapped me out of something, for that period of time. And I'm like, this was a very profound feeling, and that's a rush of hormones, natural hormones that we have that kind of snaps us out of those down periods. And I said, okay, sign me up. I had gained weight at the time and so forth. I said, sign me up. And so I signed up and I got really aggressive with it and I started eating well. I had taken off some pounds, and within a month or two, I was feeling like my old self and even better. So I'm like, there's something with this. And so that's how it's how personally it really helped me. And so I was like, I said to myself, I said, if it helped me in this way, it must help other people in the same way. So let's figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to kind of listen to that. I mean, you went through in 2011, literally in the top 5 most stressful times that people have in their life. I mean, you had your grandmother who was sick, you're in a bad relationship, financial issues, and all of those that happened to you at the same time. But the good thing is you had been in the military, which, obviously the military gives you structure and discipline, which, as we know, a lot of people are missing these days. And then you turn that into something very positive, and through exercise, you got those endorphins going, you got your life back where you wanted it to be, and now you're utilizing that to help other people. And I think that's great because, as we've seen just through doing this show, there are a lot of CRNAs out there who handle the day-to-day, and you don't know what's going on behind the scenes in their life. It is a very stressful job and occupation. I mean, Donnell, I don't know whether you know, my wife is a CRNA as well, and she deals with that very well at work, like, you all do. But, we have times where that coupled with everything else in our life that's going on, and then it just kind of brings us down. So I'm very excited about hearing how you dealt with this today. And so we're going to be talking about nutrition, exercise, health and wellness, and maybe how our listeners can get started kind of like you did again, and what that could mean for their life. So why don't you just kind of take us down for just a minute? You've been a nurse, you were in the military, and then, you kind of went back to anesthesia school. Why don't we kind of pick up from that decision for you to transition back to anesthesia school and then kind of start from there?
Yeah. So when I started nursing school, when I finally made the decision to go to nursing school, I knew I wanted to advance. And so as I begin to look at the various areas where nurses can advance to, and, nursing is just one of those fields where, I mean, you honestly could do anything with it. It's just, it just has so many different avenues to go down. But I started looking at nurse anesthesia and also a nurse practitioner, and I had spoken to somebody in the hospital who was actually a nurse anesthetist at the time. And that's sort of how I became interested in it. What stuck out to me was, sort of the autonomy of it, the level of understanding of the human body that I wanted. And so that's what happened. So I started pursuing it. And, we have to get into the ICU area in order to, as a prerequisite to get into school, amongst other things. So I went the route of cardiothoracic surgery. So again, I'm seeing patients every day, with bypass surgery or valve surgery and different types of surgery, as a result of sort of lifestyle choices that have gone on forever and ever and ever to get them to that point. And from there, in 2005, I got in. I went to the Yale School of Nursing Anesthesia. I graduated in 2007. In 2008, I was practicing, and I practiced mostly in Boston, Massachusetts, and now I'm in Illinois. So that's where sort of how my nursing career, anesthesia career went. And of course, I've done a lot within the career too.
So tell us what message you would have for CRNAs and how to integrate health and wellness, as well as having such a stressful career, and what would be the bonuses from doing that?
Well, I think the most important thing, and I think where we all get lost at, is that we do not put ourselves first, and so that's where it starts I think, is that really programming your mind to understand that it is okay to give back to yourself, right? Because if you don't have your health, then anything following that is not getting the optimized you. And so you have to give yourself, understand that you come first, and you have to, and as as nurse anesthetists, and if you're sort of a giving person, oftentimes you give your time because you want to give and you want to improve other people's lives, because that's how we're programmed to be. We didn't go into nursing not wanting to help somebody else out, right? But we have to understand that we need to help ourselves out, and we can't forget that. And I think we forget that a lot, and you can see it within various specialties in healthcare. So start right there first, and then you got to understand sort of some of the issues that cause that keeps you from that, and the one of the biggest ones is that we have to take back our time. So, we think we can't do that. We think we need to be doing, dedicating that time to other things, but we have to take back that time, at least dedicate an hour or two a day to your own self. So, set that structure in place first. And then, if there is, then there's the educational aspect of it, which is sort of, understanding how nutrition plays an important role in all of this. Because, I mean, to be honest with you, nutrition is the biggest role that, the biggest role, that's the biggest aspect of health and wellness, is understanding how nutrition plays in in nourishing your body and providing your body with minerals and vitamins and those cancer fighting agents and those heart disease fighting agents. It's an important role of managing your pancreas and preventing yourself from getting type 2 diabetes, which is on the rise, and implementing a good nutritional program, which doesn't have to be a fad diet. It just means you have to choose more plant-based natural meals and stay away from processed and high sugary and high saturated fat meals. And then just get out there and be active. You don't have to do, you can get to the gym. I mean, whatever you feel that you are comfortable with doing. If it's just going for a walk for 30 minutes a day, then that's what you do. If you have a bike, get out there and ride your bike. If you're a swimmer, get out there and swim. If you like to do Zumba, go out there and do some Zumba. But, do your Zumba every single day. Don't just make it like a one-shot deal. Just commit to it. Or anything else, my joy is CrossFit, because that's what I enjoy doing. But it doesn't have to be CrossFit for the next person.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, Sharon knows I try to work out, at least 3 days a week. And when I get out of that, I mean, it is amazing, one, how hard it is to get started back. I mean, even just doing, I love to lift, and I've always loved to lift weights, and, I enjoy that. And I used to love to run, but now I have a lot of lower back problems, probably from running. But I'll tell you what.
And age.
I'm kind of like Donnell. Donnell and I are never going to look our age.
No,
I can tell you
not.
that right now.
Yep.
Because Donnell told me he'd been when I read his bio and then saw him, and he said he'd been in there for 30 years. I thought,
wait a minute. Let me do some math. The money man doing some math.
Because, I think it just starts with, like you said, taking care of yourself and trying to do the right things. And some of that, you can't fight heredity. I mean, Sharon, you and I talk about this all the time. Our families have some medical problems in their background, and nothing you can do about that. You can kind of push that off a little bit by doing some things good for yourself and taking time for yourself and doing those things that you're talking about, Donnell. I guess the other thing that really stuck out to me is you are a master nutritionist.
Yes.
What exactly does that mean? I mean, you obviously have a passion for this. This is like one of your things, like Sharon's is politics and speaking and, walking in the morning. I know you love to walk now. So, but what does a master nutritionist do? And how do you become a master nutritionist?
So I joined this program where basically how I earned the title through the particular program, which is American Fitness Professionals. It's a combination of 4 different certificates. So I got a certificate in weight management. I have a certificate in sports nutrition and plant-based nutrition, and consultation. And so the combination of, so that gives me sort of a broad tool set to, sort of blend and craft individualized programs, because everybody doesn't want to do a plant-based meal. Some people don't want to eat meat, and some people want to eat meat, and so we're not built the same, and we have to have a nutritional program that fits you and based on your lifestyle and based on how many times you can eat a day, or what type of activity you're doing, or what your goal is, if you want to gain weight or lose weight. I have that tool set to help you get, to help along with your input, help you get along that path. And so that's where that is.
Have you thought about what would happen if you weren't able to work for 2 or 3 years? On average, 25% of people will file a disability claim, and most of us aren't prepared for that loss of income. Every CRNA needs to protect their biggest asset, yourself, and your ability to earn with a disability insurance policy. We recommend contacting Robert Smith, a master disability insurance specialist with more than 30 years of experience and 1,800 CRNA clients, to find the coverage that fits you best. The best way to do that is to send him an email at rsmithjr@financialguide.com. That's rsmithjr@financialguide.com, or call him at 504-394-6557.
So do you train people, Donnell, or do you offer this service, or tell us about that?
So I ended up LLC-ing, my nutrition and wellness solutions business called Cardiwonk. Cardiwonk means basically an English word that means, going down a vague path without necessarily having any direction, but you just want to go down that path. And as people who may not understand nutrition and exercise, you need to implement this stuff in your life, but you may not know how to get there. So it's my job, because I am a certified personal fitness trainer too. And so I do offer this as a service, and I have trained people, especially during COVID, remotely, which is my main service, because, I'm a busy person. I work 40 plus, 50 hours a week. So I can't get in the gym and personalize, watch over you. But I build online programs that, we communicate through a platform, and you plug in your results, and I build the program from then on, and also a nutritional program too. So yes.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Jeremy, you going to sign up?
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting. I think, again, one of the hardest things for people is the accountability aspect, Donnell, and you know that. I mean, that is, it's true with everyone. And, even Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time, always had a coach. I mean, there was never a time in his professional career or even his college career that he didn't have a coach coaching him in different aspects of his game. But he had the dedication and the wherewithal to be there first thing in the morning before everyone else. Even though he was better than everyone else, he was always getting better. But he always had a coach. I mean, every year that he played professional basketball, he still had personal coaches along with the team coach that would coach him in different aspects of his game, and in life, it's so hard for us to do certain things without having a coach. And I'm a true believer that the majority of people need someone to help them in different aspects of their life. Nutrition, exercising being one of those. And I think the other thing is, it's great that now you've developed this online portal for people to at least have, who might have some accountability that they want to do this, they want to get started, but man, if they know Donnell's going to be checking in with them on Saturday and they haven't done what they're supposed to, they've got accountability to that. So I think that's an amazing service there that you're offering as well. Talk a little bit about, how that works with people. I mean, do you kind of develop, all right, here's a workout routine and here's what you need to be eating this weekend, and then they track it in the app or something, and you check their calories and their protein intake and their carbs and their fat and
what is it? Macros?
Macros, yeah, they're macros. Is that kind of how it works with you doing that?
Yeah, so that's what I basically do. And you said a really important part to the accountability issue. And when you said that, it kind of reminded me of somewhat old, right? So we watched the Flintstones way back when, and we knew that Fred had
That's right.
every once in a while we saw the episode with the angel on the shoulder and the
The
devil
devil on the other
shoulder.
one. I remember it.
And so, I used to crack up at that, but that's some true significance in that scene. Yeah, Fred, I want to do it, Fred. Or go ahead and eat that thing, or don't exercise, or don't get up out the bed. And then you got the good Fred that's like, get on up, Fred. No, don't. You know better than you just do the right thing, And so. That's how coaching works. And so, yes, there's a huge accountability and personal responsibility to yourself and to the program. So basically that's what I do. So I when I meet people, whether it's in person or online, what I do is I take an assessment of I do a number of things. So, my years in healthcare, obviously I'm going to go through a very thorough investigation of your medical status, any injuries that you have, any surgeries that you had in the past, any medications that you're on, do you have any allergies, any systems issues and problems with your heart, lungs, and so forth. And I go all the way down because those can be inhibitory factors to them succeeding, depending on how where they are out on the fitness spectrum. So I take that in consideration. Also, I take a history of their knowledge of nutrition and take an assessment of where they are at that moment in terms of their nutritional status, and the way I do that is I usually do a sort of a 3-day journal with them where they sort of log everything that they've eaten over that 3 days. And we come back and we talk about that. And then I break that down and say, well, this is what it looks like. It looks like your diet's high in sugar, high in fat, or, your diet, you're not getting enough calories, or based on what your goals are. And so once I do that, then, we talk about their specific goals, and they're SMART goals. So they're specific, they're measurable, they're attainable, and so forth. And so once we do that, then I say, okay, I have an app called my FitnessPal app where, I can see both sides, and they use that as a journal. And the wonderful thing about this application is that, when you log in your food, it gives you all the nutritional facts about the food. It gives you all the micronutrients. It allows you to adjust the micronutrients based on your goals. If you want to diet high in protein and low in carbohydrates, then we adjust the percentages so that that's what it looks like, and you track your food that way. And it alerts you when you're getting close or exceeding any one of those energy providing compounds. And then what I do is, especially if we're, if we can meet personally, I take you into a gym and I do a fitness sort of personal fitness workout where I look at specific things in terms of your function, in terms of your endurance and so forth. And I sort of categorize you at that point. We talk about the goals that you're trying to achieve. So if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to build muscle and bulk up, if you're trying to lean up, if you have this sort of, what's going on in your life. I had one person where, she's in the Army, and she had the Army has readjusted the way you qualify for their fitness. And I think their fitness thing is more along the lines of CrossFit. So, I craft a very specific program, exercise program to get you to those goals, but starting from ground zero. And I communicate that through an app, and I build that program out in the app every single day. And you'll see it on your end. And what you do is you'll take that workout plan, and you'll go to the gym. You do exactly what is in that workout plan. And then you provide me with information. What did the workout feel like? Was there any pain? Was it too easy? Was it just right? And you put your number of reps and your sets in there and stuff like that. And so I go back and I look at that and I say, okay, let's tweak it. Let's build up. Let's maybe add a rep or two, maybe add a set or something like that. And we just continue to go down that path. And the whole goal is to kind of build you up to where you're trying to get to.
Beyond the Mask is made possible by the team at CRNA Financial Planning. With almost 2 decades of experience, the firm guides CRNAs through the complexities of investing and financial planning. Schedule a free consultation today by calling 855-304-3748 or go online to crnafinancialplanning.com.
Let's talk about some of the stuff that's in the literature out there. And I know that they've done studies that has shown that if they take two groups who are having problems with depression, put one group on antidepressants and one group give them an exercise program, that there's really no difference. So the bottom line is exercise can be an antidepressant. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, it kind of speaks to what your body naturally does. And so that's the wonderful thing about nurse anesthesia too. And, when I was going through the program, it just made me respect how sophisticated our systems are in protecting us from injury, physically, mentally, and so forth. And so, we have natural hormones in our body that are responsible for our mood. Our motivation, our excitement, our reward system, our happiness. And, what exercise does is that it causes a burst of a release of those naturally endorphins. So, you're talking norepinephrine, dopamine, and serotonin specifically. Those things are released when you exercise. And so, having gone through 2011, I can really speak to that because when I said, back, I was telling you before, when I did that workout, I was at a very low point when I did that workout. And what I felt like after that workout was pretty profound. There are many, many studies that support the role of nutrition and also exercise in terms of managing depression, amongst other things. It's not the sole things, but they play a significant role in it also. So
I will tell you, my daughter who lost her first child back in July, she works out every day, and I really think that has helped her tremendously. They got a Peloton bike, and she signed up for the Peloton, the online workouts, and she does those every day because I get the alerts on my telephone, not on my telephone, on my Apple Watch whenever she works out. And she's very consistent, and I think that's really helped her a whole lot with that event in her life.
I'll tell you another thing about how so I don't know if you paid attention to me online, because I do a lot of communication on Facebook.
I see that, and I see your apps on Facebook too.
But I had started a no sugar challenge back in 2016. And so I had a number of individuals online sign up for them, and I gave them very specific guidelines. It was nothing crazy. Just stay away from certain things and just add exercise and water to your diet over a 90-day period. And so I had various people from all aspects of life kind of join in, and some of them had issues with diabetes. Some people had hypertension. Some people had, self-esteem issues, and they went down this path with me over a 90-day period. And so at the end of the 90-day period, there was a combined weight loss. It was 44 individuals that participated, and there was a combined weight loss of about 645 pounds, which was amazing.
Cow.
Wow, so about 15 pounds per person. Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. But what I also noticed, because we used to talk about it a lot on the page, is I noticed people's attitudes start to change, and they vocalized that. It's like, I have more energy and I feel much more better about myself, and I'm like, I didn't think I can do this, but now I realized that I can, and then I had diabetics that were like, because I also, when you have comorbidities or diseases, I said, you need to involve your primary care physicians in this too, because you might have to adjust some of the medications that you're on. It's possible. Right. And so, we had some people that had to adjust down on their insulin doses, or, people who are on antihypertensives either had to adjust down on their blood pressure medications, and some of them were able to get off the medication too. So, so it was not only just the physical aspect of it that I noticed an improvement in, but it was also, I could see the psychological evidence, and something as simple as this really helped people out and gave them a better outlook.
I think it's interesting because, we've eaten paleo for several years now. And every once in a while we'll do a reset, we'll do a Whole30, and basically the Whole30, you're wringing out sugar from your diet. And it is amazing how much better I feel when I don't have that sugar. Now, I'll tell you, the first 2 days are probably easy. Days 2 to 5 get really tough, and day 6 is always the worst. But after that, it's amazing how much better I feel. And last night, it's kind of funny. So we have this thing at our house. We have younger kids as well, and we call it Fun Friday. So every Friday, they get to pick where they want to go. They can go to, Krispy Kreme. They can go to the bakery. And yesterday, when they had gone to the bakery when I got home, and I had Fred Flintstone. I had, little angel here, and I had the devil. And my little boy had gotten this big chocolate chip cookie. 2 chocolate chip cookies with the cream in the middle. And I'm telling you what, I love those cookies. They are the most, my mouth is watering telling you about it right now. They are the most amazing thing. And I'm sitting there going, no, yes, no, yes. And I'm telling you what, that devil won out, and I took 2 bites of that cookie, and I am not kidding you. This morning when I got up, first thing I woke up, my stomach was burning. I had this burning feeling, and it happens every time when I do stuff like that, and I get that sugar, all that, carby, sugary stuff. It will burn first thing in the morning, and then I want to eat. Like, I want to eat to make that burning go away, so I want to eat more. And it's just amazing to kind of watch what sugar can do to you and your body.
Well, they've done studies with rats and put cocaine in water and sugar in water, and the rats will selectively go for the sugar water over cocaine water.
Wow. Yeah.
It's more addictive.
It's amazing. It really is. And, Donnell, as you well know, with obesity and all the problems in our country, these are things that people need to hear more about. We need to be educating our kids and so forth about this. But
well, it makes you wonder, are we going to have the larger conversation about what part obesity played in the COVID epidemic?
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Oh.
Are we going to have that conversation? It doesn't appear that we are, but everybody in healthcare knew that it was a key piece why it was so devastating in the United States.
I agree, Sharon. I think, as challenging as these last couple of years have been, the one thing that COVID has done is it's stripped the sheet down from our poor lifestyle choices and how it could be devastating for us. And you're right. I think a much, much larger conversation has to be had in terms of how, our choices play a role in our, in our health. And so, I enjoy healthcare. I do well in it. I'm very successful in it, and, it pays well, and it pays well to take, care of sick people. So in that, from that standpoint, I enjoy your business, but I don't want your business. Like, what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to see people suffer. And so, for me, I'm like, you have no idea how much control you have. Like, you don't necessarily need to go the route of therapeutics and pills and things like that if you sort of kind of back up and implement a more healthier choices, which includes a plant-based diet and activity and sleep and plenty of water and thinking positive and things like that. Those things play a huge role in preventing you from getting disease. We spend in this country over, and this is combined, right? This is an aggregate of obesity, but also the obesity related issues. So we're talking heart disease and renal disease and cancer, breast cancer and colon cancer and so forth. We spend over $1 trillion of our healthcare dollars dealing with preventable diseases. And that's hurtful on the taxpayer pockets. And, as much as we spend on healthcare, we're not getting the return on investment that we should get on it for many different reasons. But I think the biggest one is, and let's go back to the accountability and responsibility. We as citizens of America and as taxpaying people, we have sort of a responsibility to the system. Like the healthcare system has a responsibility to our patients, and we go in and we do our jobs as best we can. But it's time to start realizing that we also have a responsibility and accountability to the system, and part of that is managing ourselves at home in a manner that keeps you from developing these issues and ultimately, resulting in a lot of not only money out of your pocket, but money out of the healthcare system.
Yeah.
There is, speaking back on COVID, there are a couple of continents rather, that haven't suffered from COVID, even though their numbers are escalating too. One is Africa, and the other is Asia. And when you look at some of the recent studies related to that particular issue, you'll see that their obesity numbers is actually on the lower side, and also on both continents. And also they're actually more active, and unfortunately, because of the poverty level there, in Asia, if you go to, I don't know if you've ever been to Beijing, but I've been to Beijing back in 2020, and it was amazing for me to see how many people were on bicycles. There were 1 million bicycles out on the street. And I'm talking 70-year-olds and 80-year-olds are pedaling these bicycles for whatever distance that they're going. You go to Africa. I went to Rwanda a couple of years ago. I did a mission trip over there. And Rwanda is Kigali is a beautiful, beautiful place. I was pleasantly surprised. Probably I've traveled a lot, and it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life. What I noticed there, particularly in the women, because we were doing women's surgery, is that they were about 50 kilos. So that's about 100, 110 pounds. But they were very strong and very lean. I had a patient that I did some surgery that I did anesthesia for. And when she left the hospital, she came up to me and shook my hand. And the grip was, I'm like, like it was, I couldn't believe how strong she was. I thought I was holding the hand of a man because he was that strong. But, I took a ride down the countryside, and I'll keep this really brief. And what I noticed was vast lands of gardens and, freshly grown fruit. They grow beans and coffee and all sorts of vegetation. The country is one of the cleanest countries I've ever been to. So they don't have the pollution that we have. They have gardens on their residential properties, and they keep their residential properties spotless. And, Rwanda is very scenic and very hilly. And what you notice is like the mothers, and everybody's walking, but like the mothers, you'll see them going up these hills with a child on their back and basket on their head and two baskets on a bag on one arm, on each arm, and they're going up these steep hills to go to their homes. So it's that type of stuff that you kind of notice, and that's I think sort of a correlation, although it may have not been sort of tightly proven yet. But I mean, we have to kind of watch that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think those are definitely good points. And, we know here in America, we have a huge problem. And, the more we talk about it, the more we put it out there, especially in our community. You guys deal with it every day. I can't tell you how many anesthesia providers that say the people that come in are rather large. You're dealing with a lot of that because they're usually the sickest, and they're usually the ones getting surgery and having procedures and so forth. But yeah, Donnell, I think we could talk about this stuff all day long because I know I have a real interest in it as well, and Sharon. But I kind of want to wrap up here a little bit. Is there anything you want to conclude on? And then what we'll do is Sharon's favorite part of this, which is the lightning round, and we'll ask you a few questions so our audience can get to know you a little better.
Absolutely. I think we've had a great conversation. I think the message is clear. I think that, I think it's like I said in the beginning, we really have to focus on ourselves and do not feel guilty when you take back your time. You owe it to yourself. And as we get older, like we can't hold back for all the time, but we can hold them at bay for a long period of time. Right. And so, understand that, with the right decisions and behaviors, you can either prevent, disease, or you can actually reverse disease too, because, just because you have high blood pressure and stuff like that doesn't mean that it's not necessarily reversible. And please understand that. So do not be discouraged in terms of where you stand on the fitness scale right now, because you have to start someplace, so just begin.
Yeah. Yeah. And Donnell, if people want to get in contact with you, maybe we've got some CRNAs out there who need some help, or someone's listening to this, and maybe it's not fitness related, maybe it's nurse anesthesia related because you've got a great background there and so forth. But how can they get in contact with you? Do you have a website or something put together?
No, I don't have a website, but they can definitely email me at dcartercrna@gmail.com, or
Okay.
also look me up on Facebook. They'll be able to find me on Facebook too,
Okay.
especially through the CRNA community, because I'm on several pages in the CRNA community too also.
Perfect. All right, Sharon.
All right. If you had to name a time when you came the closest to death, when would that have been?
Oh, this is a tough one, but I unfortunately was a victim of gun violence back when I was a teenager, and that was the closest I came.
Wow.
So you were shot?
I was shot 5 times.
Oh,
5 times?
my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
That's another thing too, because I was handicapped for about a year, and I'm like, oh no, this is not going to work. Let me get out here and bust my behind and get back into shape so I can get back to some level
Donnell,
of
I'm just sitting here going, all right, man, we're peeling back layers on you, brother. It's like there is a bunch of layers to
Yes,
Donnell
there
Carter.
are.
You know what I mean? I would love to hear the whole story sometime,
That sounds
Yeah.
like something at the next meeting.
It
We're going to
does,
have
man.
to sit
I'm
down and
just
talk.
like, wow. And just to
So you
digress.
think of the subject, and we can definitely incorporate it.
Well, I had something, I didn't get shot, but I had a situation when I was in high school, and
I remember you talking about this.
during the afternoon one time, this guy got in a fight in the hallway, and I kind of broke it up and told the guy not to mess with my friend anymore. Went on, no big deal. And that afternoon, he was friends with another fella who he had grown up really on the wrong side of the tracks. His father wasn't in the picture. I mean, I knew him. We played basketball together. He was a cool guy, but you knew not to cross him, if you know what I mean. And so I'm coming out from basketball practice at school, come out of the gym, headed to the parking lot, and all of a sudden this individual standing there, and he comes up to me and says, "Hey, man, you messed with my boy today." And I'm like, "Whoa, wait a minute." I said, No, I didn't mess with him. I just told him not to mess with my friend. He pulls out a gun. He puts it in my side. He goes, "The next time you mess with me or any of my friends," he said, "you won't be here."
Wow.
And it was like the first time I'd ever had anything like that happen. And I mean, it was that feeling of, oh, wow, this could have been really bad. And he went on, he didn't do anything. And after that, we literally, I mean, everything was fine. I mean, I had a definite newfound respect for where he would take things. But, and then after high school, I heard, and he wasn't a bad, he wasn't a bad kid. He just grew up in a bad situation. I mean, a few years later, he was robbing a restaurant here locally. And, I heard that he had gone in and the cops had cornered him, and they ended up shooting him and killing him.
Wow.
So I mean, yeah, it's one of those stories, man. You just don't know. I mean, he wasn't a bad kid. He wasn't a bad guy. In fact, I liked this guy. I mean, I was very competitive playing basketball. He was very competitive, and we talked junk to each other. But it was great. We had a fun time doing it. But yeah. So I'll digress, but that just made me think about that. So, All right, Donnell, if you could have dinner with someone alive or someone who's not with us anymore, who would that be?
Well, it would have to be my sister, and it's sort of kind of, she's connected to why I've gone this route too, because my sister battled with obesity her entire life, and at 35 she succumbed to cardiopulmonary issues related to obesity. And as a young student nurse, as I began to understand the body, understand nutrition, go down there, and I would try to offer her the information to try to get her on the right path, and I could not do it. And I can remember my mother telling me that she had said to my mother, because it was one time she was in the hospital, she had broke her ankle, and had surgery, and I had went in, I spoke to her, and this time she kind of listened to me, but she had said to my mother, Donnell, she said, "Ma, Donnell came and he spoke to me today. this time he spoke to me and didn't speak at me. And so I didn't, it kind of struck me and I didn't understand. It was like I was speaking at her. I thought I was offering everything that I knew in order to try to get her away. But, some people receive information differently. And so the reason why I would bring her back, because, the reason that she's the biggest reason why I wanted to understand this even more, especially after she passed away. I'm in a position where I can speak to her even more and not speak at her because of what I understand how the psychological issues play into obesity.
Oh man, they went
The
another
layers
layer.
keep
We just
coming.
peeled another layer
So
off of
see, my
Donnell.
questions are
Jeez.
good.
They are good.
So what's your superpower, Donnell?
I have the ability to stay very calm in the most trying situations, in the most critical situations in life, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in my personal life. I don't like confusion because I feel like confusion causes you to make a mistake and think wrong. And that's it. I'm just a very laid back person. I'm very laid back in the operating room. And so it's funny, people notice that about me in the operating room, but they know that if my eyes go wide, if Donnell gets excited, then, something's about to go down. And we need to act because he never gets excited.
So you're the one, whenever something's going down, that I need to follow you to get out of the building.
Yeah,
you're the one.
Calm.
Yeah, my husband always tells my best friend, said, first thing, if there's ever anything happens, I'm knocking you out because she just goes crazy. He said, you'll get all of us killed. I'm knocking you out, carrying you out of the building. Because you'll ruin it for all of us.
Oh my goodness.
Well, Donnell, to that point, nothing good comes out of confusion, and as we all know, when you start to get uppity, you don't make logical, rational decisions. You make emotional decisions, and that's. I think I find that as a very good trait. In fact, I have employees here, and I'm always telling them they'll get really uppity about something going on. I'm like, you know what? It's going to be fine. It's going to work out. I promise you. We just got to figure out how to make it work. I mean, and if you can figure that out, everything else is good. You know how many times I've had those people in my life who spike me up and then to come right back down, and I'm like, man, why did I get so angst about this? It's
crazy about
like it'll work out. We'll figure it out. I mean, that's part of life. So. All right, Donnell, I'm going to end on this question, and of course, me being the money guy. If you won the lottery, what would you do?
Oh man, I would. I definitely cut back my hours only because I have to maintain, some clinical hours for certification. I don't want to lose that, but I will definitely travel the world because I love to travel. If I could travel every day, I would travel every single day. And then of course, I'll set up my, my parents and my family, and that's pretty much it. That's where I'll start.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Donnell, we want to thank you for being on the show today, man. This has been fun. I've enjoyed getting to know you and peeling back some of those layers on Donnell. I'm a firm believer. We all have a reason we are where we are, and all those little things line up on each other, and if you start to peel back an onion on somebody, you really figure out why they are the way they are and how they got to be the way they are, and where they came from. And what I've also figured out is if you can't figure that out about somebody, don't hang out with them, because there's something there that they're never going to let you know, and there's a reason for that. So Right, Sharon?
Right.
All right. All right. So, Donnell, again, thank you. Thank you for all you're doing for the nurse anesthesia community. I mean, you've done a lot of stuff that we haven't even mentioned on this show, but appreciate that. Thank you so much for that, and for all you're doing for people out there in the community who need your help. Man, you're doing great work, and we love having people on like you, so thank you, man.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you for having me.
All right. Sharon?
Think we've done it again.
I think it's a wrap. We want to thank our listeners for listening to Beyond the Mask with Jeremy Stanley and
Sharon Pierce.
If you like our show and want to help it grow, Sharon, how can they help us grow?
The best way to help us grow is to leave us a review, but make it
positive. We all know there's enough negativity in this world.
Absolutely. Share it on social media. Tell all your friends and help us grow so we can get even bigger.
into the top 10.
10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're in the top 50 consistently in the medical podcast. You know, Sharon wants to be in the top 10. I want to be number 1. So, you know.
You
anyway.
got to go past 10 to get the 1.
You got to go past 10 to get the 1. All right. Until next time.
It's a wrap.
As a CRNA, you spend years preparing yourself for this career, so we don't want to see you lose out on any of the income you've worked so hard to earn. The best way to protect yourself and give you the confidence that a major life event won't disrupt your financial future is through disability insurance. We've known disability income specialist Robert Smith for many years and have seen the work he's done with nearly 2,000 CRNAs over multiple decades. He can help identify any gaps in your existing coverage and fill those gaps by finding the best value on a policy. Contact Robert and let him know you heard about him on our podcast. Send him an email at rsmithjr@financialguide.com. That's rsmithjr@financialguide.com. Or call him at 504-394-6557. Protect your greatest asset as a CRNA, yourself and your ability to earn a living by adding disability insurance to your financial plan. Today's show is brought to you by the folks at CRNA Financial Planning, an independent consulting firm that offers financial planning services exclusively to CRNAs and their families. From planning for a child's future college expenses to building a predictable income stream in retirement, the firm is committed to offering you comprehensive financial services, customized to fit your unique needs and objectives. If you have questions about your financial future, get them answered. Call the team at 855-304-3748. That's 855-304-3748. Or go online to crnafinancialplanning.com.
Hi, this is Jackie Rolls, President of the International Federation of Nurse Anesthetists and President and founder of Our Hearts, Your Hands, a global anesthesia support community that takes donations to allow nurse anesthetists in low and middle income countries to go to educational programs, buy equipment, or textbooks. Your donations are tax deductible, and we would appreciate your support.
OSA EMR is a free anesthesia EMR developed by CRNAs that you can download and use on an iPad. Our nonprofit mission is to make sure that solo and small practice CRNAs can digitally record their anesthetics. To learn more, visit osaemr.com to download and consider donating to our cause. Remember, for CRNAs, data is destiny.
Be sure to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and anywhere you like to listen to shows. Also be sure to check out BeyondTheMaskPodcast.com. Each episode is posted there with a corresponding blog post, and we timestamp important parts of the episode to help you quickly get to the content you're looking for. Also check out the special series section on the site. You can follow along and catch up on the CRNA History Series, episodes specifically about political conversations in the industry. Or try the CRNA Personal Finance Series. It's all on BeyondTheMaskPodcast.com. And if you have a question for the show or want to be a guest, or even suggest a particular topic, fill out the contact form on the site or send an email directly to us at info@BeyondTheMaskPodcast.com. And lastly, let's take the conversation social. Check out our Beyond the Mask podcast Facebook page and Facebook group.